Hey guys, it is Dungeon Master Mark. Figured I would do a real quick kind of impromptu review of the new Pathfinder Unchained book. I've had a couple people request to know what my thoughts are on it, whether or not I was planning on buying it, which I was actually gifted a copy by a YouTube subscriber, which thank you, and how I plan on implementing some of the changes if I do want to use some of them. I guess I should say more than less. So as you can tell, this is the new Pathfinder Unchained. It is a hardback book. Retails for $39.99. Of course, if you go on sale on Amazon, a couple other sites, of course, you can get them pretty well marked down right now. And of course, the artwork is right up there with most of the other Pathfinder books. Very, very well-made material. Good artwork. Well-bound. Let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. I've been reading through this for about the last week and a half, trying to kind of delve into a lot of the rules, and let's go ahead and zoom in just a little bit here so I can show you guys what all it covers. So as you can see, the Pathfinder Unchained does a couple different things. It's going to give you some optional things for barbarians, monks, rogues, summoners. You have some different options for skills, different gameplay options like removing alignment, stamina, which I'll go over in that in a second, wounding thresholds and disease thresholds and things like that. And then ways to customize magic items and ways to customize monsters. So in a lot of ways, this book is kind of unusual. Most of the time, like the complete, or should say like the ultimate magic, ultimate combat, that it adds things to the game where if you like more crunch to your game, if you want more rules, more options, that is primarily what the book does. This book is kind of unique, and I use the word unique, but you can use this book to make your game less crunchy if you want to make some stuff simpler. And then there's also some stuff you can use to make kind of more advanced rules. So it kind of appeals to a couple different kind of types of GMs, like the Barbarian, the Monk, the Rogue, the Summoner, some of the advanced features in that. Some of the features give you more options, but some stuff like the Summoner, if you've read the Paizo forum, some people are complaining because they think it takes away some of the advantages of being a Summoner. Which, in all fairness, there was some of aspects of the Summoner, like using haste early and certain spell levels and that were kind of broken. So it kind of reorganizes a couple things throughout the skills there. The next thing I was going to say was Chapter 2 in the book is completely about skills. So it's going to go over background skills, kind of to simplify like what skills your person may have when they start off, which, as you can tell, is kind of similar to D&D 5th edition with like the background stories and stuff like that, which, of course, that was something easy to implement before as well, but it is kind of a unique system. You also have consolidating group skills to where maybe you can use diplomacy you can have several like subgroups of skills within that. So it does give some interesting options there if you want to make stuff more crunchy or less crunchy, depending on how you like your game. Which let's go ahead and dive in real quick, just a little bit here. Of course, I'll show you guys some of the artwork as well, which, like I said, the artwork in this book is fantastic. Like I said, most of the Barbarian stuff, you'll realize a lot of it is the same. One good thing I do like, in each particular chapter, it's going to give you a little blurb about what the Unchained changes. So, for instance, this one says, the Unchained Barbarian is similar to many regards to the counterpart in the core rulebook. They still go into rage, gain rage powers, but many of the details have been changed. Rage now grants temporary hit points and static bonuses on attack and damage rolls, rather than the ability scores that force players to recalculate a number of statistics. Additionally, many rage powers now function whenever the Barbarian is raging, as opposed to just once per rage. Finally, the utility of many of the rage powers has been adjusted to make them more useful and interesting. So when I first read the blurb for the Barbarian, I thought that was kind of unique. Just the simple fact that Barbarians are one of those classes where low levels, of course, they're completely fun because you can just demolish stuff. Higher level, though, they kind of wuss out a little bit. I mean, it's not quite as exciting to play a high-level Barbarian. So, like I said, the neat thing is, like I said, it's not something where you're not going to have where you can use rage power once per day. A lot of the stuff is changed up a little bit, so it's going to last your whole time you're raging, which is really, really nice. A couple of the feats and a couple of the little different things have changed for the Barbarian. Now it also gives you a list of rage powers that are completely unchanged. And of course it breaks it down by the Advanced Player's Guide or the Ultimate Campaign. And then of course you have the Monk, which a lot of people love the new Unchained Monk. Which I'm not going to go into too much detail. Like I said, they have adjusted some of the attack bonuses. They've changed the way Flurry works a little bit. Flurry, of course, now stacks with two-weapon fighting and things like that, which technically before it didn't. So some GMs were a little iffy on how to use it. So monks can be very, very viable now and compete with like the Brawler and compete with, you know, unarmed fighters and things like that a little bit easier now. They did adjust some of the different special abilities, some of the key abilities and things of that nature. So you definitely want to watch that if you do have a player who wants to play a monk. If you need a more martial character, you might want to see about maybe letting them read the Unchained version, see if maybe they like that a little bit better. The Rogue, most of the Rogue's abilities in that are still mostly the same. A couple things they did add was what they called finesse training for first level. So basically any Rogue can be dexterous and have finesse automatically from first level. So what they did do, they did kind of change around some of the feats and a couple things in a couple different areas. They can automatically, of course, with the finesse, add their dexterity damage to, with one weapon starting at first level. Or actually, I believe it's third level. I take it back. And they do get some skill unlocks as they go up in level. So definitely interesting. The Rogue talents, most of those remain the same. A couple of them, they've added some extra benefits to them. The Summoner, like I said, the Summoner was the area where there's the most changes. The big thing was Eidolons for Summoners are now going to be kind of have like a template. So if you're a Summoner, you could have maybe like an Infernal or like a Demon-based Eidolon. You can have an Angel-based Eidolon. You can have an Elemental-based Eidolon. And then lots of changes to the way spells work. So some of the spell levels have been changed, which, such as the Haste, was the big one that some people were complaining about. Even though, to be honest with you, as a GM, I've kind of went with that for a long time because I didn't really care for it that much. So let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. And the first thing we're going to go to is the introduction for the background skills, which, as I showed you guys before, it basically breaks down to like adventuring skills like acrobatics, disable device, climb, things like that. And then it has background skills. So in other words, your background story, if you want to use it as a GM, which I would highly recommend, you can, if your character gives you a background, say they were, in this case, maybe they helped an armor maker when they were younger. So maybe they have crafting skills for crafting weapons or armor. Or maybe they're good at sleight of hand from where they were a thief when they were younger. So it does give you a little bit information on that. That way you can kind of have the player start off with certain skills if you like. And then they can kind of work their way up. It also gives you a way of converting characters from one kind of system to a different one using the skill bank system. And then let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit here. This is where it's going to break down some of the sub kind of tiers within, like for instance right here they call it the expanded profession. So the different proficient skills, like I said, you choose like what your profession was, like say a brewer. You might be able to have a particular skill check for notice poison in a beverage, brew alcohol of exceptional quality. So it gives you a lot of different options if you do want a little bit crunchier rules. Yeah, pardon me, the dogs are there in the background are fighting downstairs. That's, for the most part, most of the basics for this particular skill sets. One other big thing, which I don't think I touched on earlier, was variant multi-classing. The Pathfinder Unchained has made it extremely, extremely easy to multi-class your characters. If you do have someone who wants to play like a fighter wizard, but they don't really want to be a magus, they've kind of have this weird system, what they call variant multi-classing, where you're going to progress in your main class. So you're going to be a wizard, but basically you can give up some of your feats. So in other words, you're going to give up your feat at like, I believe it's, first, fourth, 6th, 13th, I think I'm skipping, I think maybe 9th level. And what you're going to do is you're going to gain ability in whatever the class is that you're wanting to take up. So for instance, let's just zoom in over here real quick on the fighter. All right, see if I can get the focus there. So if you want to choose fighter as your secondary class, like I said, you're still going to be getting all of your abilities from your first class. So in this case, this person is a wizard. So at first level, he's going to get he's going to be losing an actual feat, but he's going to get the first level feat for a fighter. At third level, when you normally lose a feat, he's going to gain the bravery class features same way as a fighter would if his character level -1. 7th level, you're going to get the armor training. 11th level, you're going to get the armor training, the second one, and so on and so forth. Obviously, if you took rogue, let's give you one more feature there. 3rd level, you're going to get trap finding, sneak attack, evasion, and so on and so forth. So you're able to pick up some of the abilities of classes, if I can get to focus there, without actually taking levels in the actual class itself, which I think that's kind of an interesting take. Definitely something different from 2nd edition, definitely different from 5th edition, and I don't know, I kind of like it. If you have one of those people who just can't make up their mind on what type of class they want to be, there's definitely some really interesting combinations. If you want to have a little bit more flavor, maybe you're a wizard who, the variant multi-class of the sorcerer who gains a bloodline power, and that's some type of untapped power you have inside of your abilities and that. Here you have some of the information for like the base classes. Obviously, you could be a wizard who has some of the abilities of a summoner, and so on and so forth. And then we're going to go into a little bit of the alignment, like if you just want to completely do away with an alignment whatsoever. And of course, it goes into a lot of information about moral challenges, dilemma, how to challenge your players. So it does give you a lot of tips on GMing, things of that nature. It goes into some special feats just for different alignments. Like if you're a champion of grace, champion of anarchy, champion of evil, champion of tyranny. Lots of different functions there. And this section here, I believe there's 4 pages altogether on just removing alignment altogether. So if you just have players who are, I don't want to say morally challenged, but they don't like the whole moral quandary of role-playing, you can kind of remove that. And the interesting thing I found was the section on like aligned loyalties, like outsiders and things like that. So you're still going to have where like certain outsiders like devils and demons are still fighting a war, but you're not going to have the alignment base. It's just kind of they're just kind of butting heads and stuff like that. The last thing I really wanted to go over was stamina and combat tricks. Stamina is something completely new that they've brought into the system. And basically what stamina is imagine kind of like key points or grit points, something that every single person can use. You can definitely add it just for wizards or something of that nature if you want to. But the main gist of it is, like I said, as your character goes up, you get more of these stamina points. And you can use these points to kind of empower certain feats and things like that. So maybe, like I said, if you're a wizard, you have stamina, maybe you can use that to get like a burst to like your dodge ability, things like that. If you're a fighter, maybe you can use it to add like a little bit extra to your weapon focus for a couple rounds. So just to give you guys a couple examples here, let's find a good one here. There we go. So let's go ahead and choose Qinling Force. When you attempt and fail and overrun a creature, actually I just charged the charge there, sorry. You can spend 5 stamina points to finish your charge against the creature instead of losing your charge. So that one, of course, you're going to be using just for the charge itself. The Qinling Force, when you hit with an attack while using this feat, you can spend 5 stamina points to not have the attack count as one of the 3 attacks you can make with the Force-imbued weapon. So no matter if you're a cleric, whether you're a fighter, there's a lot of different variant ways where you can use the stamina itself. Now there are feats where they added some extra feats where you can get extra stamina, things like that. But obviously the higher your constitution is, the higher your level, you're going to be getting more stamina as you go up in level. So the higher the character is level-wise, the more stamina you're going to have to do kind of these unique things. Let's go ahead and skip forward here. And then the one, I know I said this before, I want to point out one final thing here, and that is diseases and poisons. One thing I think was kind of lacking before in the rules were how poisons kind of, I don't want to say stacked, but kind of like a progression system for them. And what this is kind of a progression system for diseases and poisons. Let me go ahead and zoom in here real quick. So just kind of give you an idea. So for a strength-based poison, let's say there's some type of giant wasp venom or something like that. So the person gets weakened. They're going to take a -2 to strength, attack rolls, skill checks, stuff like that. If they fail the saving throw a second time, they're going to take an additional -2 to strength, things of that nature. If they fail a third time, the strength poison is so weakened that she suffers effects of the staggered condition. And then if they fail the final time, they're going to be completely immobile. So basically they're helpless. They can only take mental actions. So a couple different things. Like I said, they have one for dexterity base, constitution base. They have one for different types of diseases. Intelligence poison. And it goes into some different sample diseases. There are a couple new ones that they added, which are nice. And then they have some simplified spell casting rules. Some ways you can make magic a little easier. Some wild magic, surges, limited magic. How to make magic a little bit more rare in your game if you wish to. And this is an optional component where you can have like special components that make magic even more powerful if a person uses like a particular item and things like that. And then you have automatic progressions. And then the only other thing that I think really noteworthy on here was like quirks for magic items. Like maybe you have a magic item that's super, like just a little extra powerful, or one that's maybe a little off. And for the most part, that is it. Like I said, very, very unique book. Definitely different from the aspect that you can use it to make things more complicated or less complicated, depending on, really how you want to use it. And like I said, for those who want rules on, customizing monsters even more, customizing magic items even more, there's some really, really interesting rules for, how to make scaling magic items, where if you want to make something like a magic cloak that, at first level, maybe the only thing it does is have a +1 bonus, but at third level, maybe it casts invisibility once, and at fifth level, maybe it gives you like haste once a day. There's ways where you can make scaled items that as you go up in level, the item becomes more powerful. So definitely some interesting rules. Like I said, if this is something that you guys are interested in, definitely, I would see about picking it up. If you're like me and you like core rules only for the most part, this might be a book you might want to skip. So like I said, if you're looking for less crunch, less rules, this does have some information in there to streamline stuff, but I really wouldn't be comfortable recommending it for you. If you're looking for more crunch and more rules, I would say definitely go for it. If you have a player who has a summoner that you think is a little overpowered, rogue that they want a little bit more abilities, maybe monks that they're not happy with, might be something you might want to pick up as well. But that is pretty much it for the Pathfinder Unchained, guys. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. I got a couple more reviews coming up. And keep gaming, guys. Bye-bye.